So we've completed to the halfway point of the second chapter. We just took the test an hour earlier. Our regular students took the examination. So they've been in class for an hour. Now we're going to start the second half of the second chapter. You know, the second chapter is almost the longest chapter in Bhagavad Gita, 72 verses. So it's divided into two halves. You'll learn why today. So we'll start reading shlokas first. We'll read the Sanskrit from text 39 to text 46, because those are the verses that we'll do today. 39 of the second chapter through text 46. '39 is on page 122. Are all the assembled Vaishnavas ready? Esha te bihita sankhe buddhi yoge trimang shrinu buddhya yukto joya partha karma bandham prahasyasi neha vikramana shosti pratyavayo na vidyate salpamapyasya dharmasya trayote mohoto boyat vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kurunandana bahu shakha ihanantascha buddhayo vyavasayina yang imang pushpitang avachang pravadantya vipashtitaha Vedavadorotak partha nanyat asti tivadinaha kamatmana kasvargapara jannama karma phala pradang kriya vishesha bahulang bhogaisha jagating prati bhogaishwarja prasakthanang Toya pharita chetosang vyavasayatmika buddhir samadhau na vidhiyate traigunya vishaya veda nistrayi guno bhavarjuna nirdvando nitya sattastho nirjoga kshema atmavan Yavan artha utapane sarvatak sampluto dake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanyasya vijanata. Let's just do the next slok also. Karmanyevadhikaroste ma phaleshu kodachano ma karma phalaheturbhu Mate sangostha karmani. Bhagavad Gita ki. Now back to text 39. We're getting ready to begin our studying here. Esha te bihita sankhe buddhir joge tvimang shrinu buddhya yukto Yoya partha karma bandhang prahasyasi. Thus far, I have described this knowledge to you through analytical study. Now, listen as I explain it in terms of working, without fruitive results. O son of Partha, when you act in such knowledge, you can free yourself from the bondage of works. So, Krishna said, Esha. That means now we came to part 2. Esha means all this. So he says, with all these verses from 10 through 38, that's Esha, Eshate. All these verses that I've just spoken to you, Arjun. Bihita Sankhya. I have described Sankhya. Sankhya is one of the important words that we have to learn in this verse. The other important word is buddhir. Buddhir yoga. Sankhya yoga. Krishna says, thus far, I have taught you, Arjun, Sankhya yoga. I've taught you Sankhya. Now, Imam, Shrinu, hear this, something new, Buddhi Yoga. So Krishna, this is where the second chapter splits. Krishna has, in the second chapter, describes two things, Sankhya and Buddhi, which are very similar. The word Buddhi means intelligence. And Sankhya, does anyone know what Sankhya? Analytical study, that's a very good guess. If you look in the purport, the first line Prabhupada goes to the dictionary. It says, according to the Nirukti, or the Vedic dictionary. I bet you didn't know that, just like there's a Webster's dictionary, there's a Vedic dictionary, Virukti. There's a few different ones. Virukti. According to this dictionary, Nirukti, Sankhya means that which describes things in detail. Literal meaning of Sankhya, I've heard, means to count. To count. Literally, Sankhya means to count. Just like if we count how many qualities something has. Let us go to this. Actually, I once had a dream, about 10 years ago or 11 years ago, I had a dream that this deity walked off the altar and walked to the street in my dream and made a right-hand turn towards the beach, and I couldn't figure it out. And then I went to follow him, and then the dream, you know how dreams turn into the next dream, just couldn't see it. But I always remembered that. So let's just pretend that we're going to the beach here. And if we are going to count every grain of sand on at the beach, then we're going to know the beach in extreme detail. So Sankhya means that which describes something in detail. It counts every last thing about it. Such as the material nature has 25 elements. And here they are. That's Sankhya. Buddhi is a different thing. I should take out my notes because I was just preparing. Sankhya is theoretical knowledge. Like when you go to high school or college and you sit in a science class or a math class, you learn about different facts. That's the knowledge in your head. Buddhi Yoga, although Buddhi also means intelligence, it differs from Sankhya Yoga because Buddhi isn't theoretical knowledge, or it's not knowledge in your head. Buddhi is practical knowledge, knowledge in your hand. If Sankhya is knowledge in your head, Buddhi is knowledge in your hands. What do I mean, knowledge in your hands? It means you wrote the whole Bhagavad Gita on your hands? Knowledge in your hands means when you work with it, when you do something with it. That's what Buddhi Yoga is, as opposed to Sankhya Yoga. So Krishna is saying that, Arjun, I've spoken so much to you about the nature of the soul in very theoretical and abstract terms. I described all the qualities of the soul, Avinashi, how he's indestructible, how he's insoluble, how he can't be divided, Nainam Chindanti Shastrani, he can't be cut, so many things. But Krishna does not want Arjuna to become renounced from his activities. Just like all of you who are taking the class regularly, you know, if you want to study, let's say Sankhya, means to count. So now you are studying Bhagavad Gita, and you want to count Bhagavad Gita. You want to know all the points and the facts and be able to count them, Sankhya. But what does that take? You can't be going to the donut store and here and there and running around from here and there and working 25 hours a day and sleeping this amount of day. You can't be doing 1,000 things and also study carefully. Sankhya Yoga, unless you're a very empowered individual. But to really study, you retire from activity. You're a student, you go to school. You don't have other activities. So Sankhya, or Jnana Marg, always means renunciation. Jnana Marg, Marg is the road or the path. There's different margs or paths or ways to enlightenment. Jnana Marg is the way that one gets to enlightenment by cultivating knowledge. But Jnana Marg always means renunciation. You and I cannot do Jnana Marg. You cannot be a housewife and do Jnana Marg. You cannot be a dentist and do Sankhya Yoga. You cannot be a computer programmer. You cannot even be a cook in the kitchen of the temple to do Jnana Marg. Jnana Marg means complete renunciation from activities and studying. So to entrance into Jnana Marg requires a sannyas ashram. Just imagine that. We have a little sign, everybody, welcome to the Hare Krishna temple. Please move in. So someone comes to the door, yes, all right, I want to move into the temple. They say, okay, take sannyas. Then you move in. Or, okay, I'd like to be a devotee. All right, take sannyas. That's, of course, how it sort of used to be. But this is not Jnana Marg. Our marg is Buddhi Yoga. Buddhi Yoga is knowledge in the hands, not in the head. Not that it's not in the head, but that it's applied into the hands, into your work. So Krishna he spoke so much knowledge from books, from referencing Upanishads and so many deep things. Now he wants to stress to Arjuna that he does not want him to become a student. He wants Arjuna to fight in the war. He wants Arjuna to stick to his responsibilities and duties. He wants Arjuna to be active. So now he goes on to stress. He sort of counterbalances all the knowledge that he gave by stressing activity. But not just any activity. Like, if you live in a temple for some time, you notice in yourself and in other people so many different types of people doing the same types of things and getting different results. You just see one person has been chanting Hare Krishna for 89 years, and they're still completely bewildered. And you look at that person and you think, what is it, that this doesn't work? But another person is chanting Hare Krishna for 6 years, 5 years, 2 years, 4 months. And that person has a lot of realizations and is very, very high. It's very strange on the surface. One devotee is sweeping the floor, and he's so happy. Another devotee is sweeping the floor, and he's cursing under his breath. One devotee is getting bliss from his service, and the other devotee is getting stress. But they're doing the same things. This is the mystery of Buddhi Yoga. It's not what you do so much as it's how you do it. The knowledge with which you do your work. The wisdom with which you act. Not just the actions that you do, but the wisdom or the conception in which you do them. Just think, if you are sweeping the floor, in the concept of being Krishna's devotee, then that is going to bring you some happiness. So if you're working in the correct wisdom and concept, you're getting a totally different result than if you're doing the same work thinking, I could be a computer programmer and make such and such amount of money a day. I could be a movie star in Bollywood and make so much money. Actually, I read that the gangsters are attacking Bollywood. Did you also hear that? All the gangsters, the gundas, are going to Bollywood and shooting the producers, and the Indian film industry is going to take crashing. The Indian film industry makes more movies than any other film industry in the world. The only problem is that 85% of those movies should never have been released because the quality is so poor. The quality is so low. But nevertheless, they make more movies than Hollywood or anything else in the world. But it makes a lot of money in India, that money, the film industry, but now the gundas are attacking because they lent a lot of the money to the producers and things, and when they don't get the payments back. So, I'm sorry, getting back to work. I could be a movie star. Why am I sweeping the floor? Then, if you're working in that type of non-wisdom, you won't be getting the same result. So Buddhi Yoga is wisdom applied to work. Krishna said, Buddhi yukto yathapartha. If you work with wisdom, then karma bandham prahasyasi. Prahasyasi. Karma bandha. Being bound by karma, prahasyasi. You'll be freed from that bondage. If you work with wisdom, you won't feel depressed. You won't feel stressed. If you work in the correct knowledge and concept of the self, you'll feel enlightened. Now Krishna is going to describe how to do that work. That's the sum and substance of Bhagavad Gita's early chapters. Chapter 3, 4, and 5 are Krishna's instruction manual. How to do work with wisdom. How to work and not be distressed. Be liberated. I find, actually my realization lately that I had, I don't get as many realizations lately because my brain is engaged in other things. But lately I had one realization. And my realization is that on this planet, Earth, the predominant atmosphere is activity. The predominant mood on Earth is constant action. No one is satisfied. Everyone is striving for something. Everyone is striving for something. I'm not satisfied that I can teach a Bhagavad Gita class. Now I want to make a Bhagavad Gita interactive study guide for the World Wide Web. And then I have to try to strive. Everyone is striving for something. Therefore, in this life, there's always work. That's the nature of the middle planetary system. There's constant work. So we have to learn what Krishna has to offer in these chapters of Bhagavad Gita. How to work without getting an ulcer. And not just not getting an ulcer, but how to work without getting karma. How to work and get liberated. The same as if you were a sannyasi. Sankhya. The same as if you went to the Himalaya mountains. Himalaya mountains means the mountains where there's always snow. Even if you went to those snowy mountains and sat with Narayan Rishi or Ved Vyas and studied, you could get the same liberation and benefit from working and doing your dharma responsibly in Krishna conscious wisdom. That's the mystery of Bhagavad Gita. So now Krishna says, Shrinu. So therefore, Shrinu, hear it. Krishna is saying, here I am going to give you such a valuable thing. Take it. Shrinu, hear it. Be careful, listen to it carefully. So now, he glorifies it. In the next two verses, 40 and 41, Krishna glorifies Buddhi Yoga. Because he just said Shrinu. Here, listen to this, listen to this. So now after he says listen to it, then we're all thinking, oh, should I really listen to it? Or isn't it more interesting to examine the floor that I've never seen before in the temple room? Or isn't it more interesting to think about what I'm going to do tomorrow? Why should I listen to Buddhi Yoga? So after Krishna says Shrinu, he has to glorify it, which he'll do in 1.5 verses, the next 2 verses. So we'll go to the next verse, text 40. Neha vikramanasosti prattavayo na vidvate sholpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. Neha vikramanasosti. That line is so nice. Neha vikramanasosti. Let's look at that line. Neha means na, iha, abhikrama. Iha in this Buddha yoga, abhikram. Just to begin. Krama means to do the action or the work. Abhikrama. Just to impel the action or just to begin the action. Nehabhikrama. No. What won't there be any of? Na. What? If you just begin this type of work with wisdom, what will there be none of? Nasha. Destruction. There's one great movie. Has anyone ever seen this movie, Nimai of Nadia? You saw that movie. You should all get this movie. It's such a nice VCR tape. You can get it from Krishna Culture or maybe from this. It's a movie that was made in Bengal in like 1959 about Lord Chaitanya. But there's such a nice part where Lord Chaitanya's mother becomes so worried that he's going to take sannyas that one sannyasi passes by the front door of the house and she starts going, oh, the Bengali mother. You can imagine, oh, Shannashi, Sharbanash, Sharbanash, Sharbanash. Sharbanash means it's all going to be destroyed. That sannyasi will destroy everything for me. Take away my son, everything. So, this word is used here in this verse, nash. Sometimes in Bhagavad Gita it's even stronger, pranash. But here it's just nash. Nash. Neha abhikrama nasha asti. If you work with wisdom, then your work will never be destroyed. Pratyavayo na vidyate. Pratyavayo. Nor will it shrink or diminish. Na vidyate. It'll never become less. Nehabhikrama nashasti pratyavayo na vidyate. But you may think, oh, Buddha yoga, but I have to do a lot of work. I have to live in the temple. I have to wake up at 4:30 in the morning. I have to do so many things. Krishna says you don't even have to do so many things. Swa-alpam. Su-alpam. There was one lady in Tuaka where I used to be. Her name was Alpa Mahajan. Alpa means little. She was such a nice lady. She used to come every Sunday for our Bhagavad Gita class. Alpa Mahajan. But she was actually quite small. Alpa Mahajan. Krishna says Alpa. Not just Alpa. Sualpa. Very little. Sualpam api. Even if you just do a little devotional service, work in wisdom, even just a little bit. Sualpam api asya dharmasya. Of this kind of dharma. Trayate mahato bhayat. Trayate. Kshatriya. Traya means to protect or to deliver. Trayate will deliver you from what? Mahabhaya. The greatest fear. Even if we just do a little bit of the right kind of activity in our life, then we will be freed from the greatest fear. Now what is Mahabhaya? It is not the boogeyman. Mahabhaya, the great fear. What is the greatest fear? Death is not so much fearful. Yeah. Let's say death is not so bad, especially if you know that you're going to the heavenly planets. But what's worse than death is being born again. To be born again after death, that's also pretty bad. But at least if you can take birth from a demigod womb, there must be very nice hospitals, everything is okay. But if you are born from the eggs of a scorpion, or if you are born from a raccoon, or from a giraffe, what a horrible existence. Study the animals. Everything in nature has two sides, beauty and misery. Like when I was in New Jersey, in the winter we would get something that you never get here in San Diego, snow and ice, and a lot of it. And I used to look out my window, and we had beautiful trees there, and sometimes the trees would be completely covered in ice, like as if they were wearing armor. Completely covered in ice. It was the most beautiful thing you can imagine. It's like looking at a giant glass tree. It's so magnificently beautiful. But imagine how much pain that tree is in. If you were covered in ice, you can't exactly say it's the same as you being covered in ice, because the tree is different, has a different nervous system. But just imagine, if you're covered in ice, outside in this freezing cold in New Jersey. So that nature, it has always two things to learn from it. Something positive and something negative. There's always beauty and there's always pain in this material nature. So when we study the animals, we can learn positive things. We can also learn from the animals by seeing their negative things. We should not become only seeing the negative, but we should see the negative and see the positive. And we can learn from both. When we study the animals and try to learn from their negatives, try this. Just look at the animals. Notice one thing. They cannot keep their heads still. They always go like this. Yeah, it's not because they ate a little bit too much chocolate. It's because they're completely afraid. The raccoon, I was watching this at my uncle's house many years ago. The squirrel, would come to a tree and grab an acorn. And he would hold it in his hands. And he would look. And he would... Can you imagine if you have to take prasad like that? You eat a little bit and then you look if the pujari is going to jump off the altar and steal your prasad. It's a horrible existence. It's an existence of complete fear. That's Mahabhaya, to be born in the species that are covered in tamagun. If we just do a little bit of devotional service, little, su alpa, just a tiny bit of devotional service. What did Devahuti say in Srimad Bhagavatam? I know Prabhupada quoted it. Aho bata swapacho targariyam yaj jivharge vartate namatubhyam te pustapaste juvuhu susnu arya brahmanu churnam grananti ete. Aho bata swapacho. She said, if you just once chant the holy name of God, then you become liberated from all of your jati, all the problems of your birth. I'm not sure if I should be a teacher or if I should go on HBO and do a comedy series. It seems I can't make up my mind. So I try to do both at the same time. So, but remember, prahasan eva. Don't laugh too much, otherwise you won't be able to concentrate on the class. Krishna had to pull the smile back to become guru. So, teek. So Krishna glorifies Buddha Yoga. He told Arjuna, now I'm going to speak to you not anymore about theory, but now about practice. Like in high school, I remember there was music theory class, and then there was band. Music theory, you would just learn the notes and theory, and band, you would play the music. So Krishna, the first half of the second chapter is music theory class. And the second half is band practice. Not learning anymore the ideas, but putting them into practice. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, if you just put them into practice, these ideas, which ideas? That you're not this body, that you're the spirit soul. If you act in that consciousness, just a little, then you'll be saved from the greatest fear. And nehabhikramanashosti. Whatever you do in that consciousness is never lost. Prabhupada said, even if you build a great skyscraper, but if it's unfinished, it's unusable. You might as well have never started. In the material world, if the work is not completed 100%, then it's useless. So, I'm working on some computer thing. So, I've done so much work, it's 80% finished. But if I don't complete the work, then nothing will run properly. So that's this material world. But in spiritual world, it's different. If you do 2%, only 2% you make advancement in this life. Don't worry. Don't think that actually I would like to take the spiritual life, but I know that I could only go 10% forward. I could never become a great sage. I could never become a pure devotee. So I can only do like maybe 10% pure devotee. So better I not even do it. Why think like that? Just do your 10%. And then that 10% will never be lost. Prabhupada says in the purport, if you only do 10% in this life, in the next life you start not from 1% again, but from 11%. Just see, that's why. We can see it, it's real. Different people walk into the temple. They're not all the same. Somebody walks in off the street, and it takes him 5 years to grasp such simple things. Someone else walks in off the street, and in 4 months, he knows how to give Bhagavatam class. He's doing so many things. He's preaching. It's not by chance. It's not just because one person is smarter than the other. Some people are very smart, but they can't grasp the concepts of Krishna consciousness. It's because in the previous lives, they've made some progress. And that progress that they've made has never been lost. So when they come, someone's walking in the door at 58%. Someone's walking in the door at 2%. Someone's walking in the door at 0. But rest assured, if we can just do 1%, it'll never be lost to us. Why is it? Because if you work in the consciousness that you're the soul, then you're working for the benefit of your soul. The soul is eternal, and the work which is done for that which is eternal is also eternal. If I am renting a house, and I decorate it so nicely, but then at a certain point I have to leave the house. So it's not so wise to work on a rented house. But if I own a house, then I take care of it so nicely. You know, you're dealing with apartments. It's very difficult because the people don't take so much care of their apartments because they're just renting. But if they owned it, then they would take great care. Because if you own something, whatever you do for that which is permanent stays with you. So if you have a permanent house and a rented house, the work which you do for the permanent house stays with you. But we do have a permanent house and a rented house. The body is our rented house. We're in this apartment for a limited time. And our eternal house is our soul. If we work for the soul in Buddha Yoga, it's like decorating the house that we own. The benefit is eternal. Nehabhikramanashosti. Nothing can be destroyed. So this way, Krishna is glorifying Buddha Yoga or working with wisdom. Glorifying to not just work, but to work in knowledge. It's not enough to just say, I'm doing my duties, I'm doing my duties, I'm doing my duties, I'm a responsible man. It's not enough to be responsible. You have to know why you are doing what you're doing and work in that consciousness. This is not a theory. This is a fact. I can tell you from my experience. If I work with my head in Krishna consciousness, I have a totally different path of life and of experience than if I work with my head in mundane consciousness. So it's not enough. Don't think that if you just do your duties in an ignorant way, actually this was your question, wasn't it? Don't think that if you just do your duties in an ignorant way, that you will get the same result as a person who does his duties in knowledge. So don't think that if you just chant 16 rounds of Hare Krishna, or if you just do such and such dharma, then everything will be okay. You have to really try to know why are you doing what you're doing, and think of it as you're doing it. Then you'll make so much spiritual advancement. Now the question comes, earlier it was said to just tolerate all distresses and continue doing your duty. And in this way you'll become liberated. Somritat vaya kalpate. And one of the students asked the question, does that mean I can just do my duties in ignorance and get liberated? So this, here it clarifies. It's not that by just doing your duties in ignorance you can get liberation. You have to stick to your duties and tolerate all difficulties, but not just for the sake of doing it, but in the knowledge that you are working in the proper consciousness. I've come to feel the pulse of the class that I've gone on this statement, on this path long enough. It's time to go to the next verse. Now Krishna continues to speak about the glories of acting with wisdom. Ready? Now we'll all bring our consciousness into the Bhagavad Gita, chanting this verse together. Vyavasayatmika buddhir ekeha kuru nandana bahushaka hyanantascha buddhayo vavasayana. Those who are on this path are resolute in purpose, and their aim is one. O beloved child of the Kurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many-branched. This verse is very, very, very important because it was this verse that gave almost birth to ISKCON. Prabhupada told the devotees that it was because of this verse, when he read this verse and read the commentary on this verse by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he decided that he had to follow the orders of his spiritual master to come to the West and preach Krishna consciousness. Previous to studying this verse, he couldn't get the determination to go through the whole thing, take sannyas, go to the West and preach. But after he read this verse in purport, it convinced him. And I'll read you the same purport that Prabhupada read that was convinced. This is a little quote from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary on this verse. So this verse says, Vyavasayatmika buddhi, ekeha kurunandana. Those people who work with wisdom in Buddha Yoga, their minds are fixed. Vyavasayatmika. It doesn't move. They have one goal. Ekeha kurunandana. They're one-pointed. They have such determination. Now Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments on this. Of all kinds of intelligence, the best intelligence is intelligence focused on bhakti yoga. He's commenting on buddhi and vyavasayatmika buddhi. Of all kinds of intelligence, the best intelligence is that which is fixed on something. And the best thing to be fixed on is bhakti. In bhakti yoga, one's intelligence becomes one-pointed, fixed in determination. One thinks, quote, the instructions of my spiritual master to worship the personality of Godhead by chanting, remembering, serving his feet, and so on are my only sadhana, my only sadhya. Sadhya is goal. Sadhana is practice. Sadhya is goal. The instructions of my spiritual master to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead by chanting and remembering his lotus feet are my only sadhana and my only sadhya. They are my only livelihood. I am unable to give up these instructions. This is how one who has vyavasayatmika buddhi thinks. I am unable to give up these instructions either in the stage of practice or in the stage of perfection. They alone are my object of desire and my only responsibility. Besides them, I can desire no other responsibility, not even in my dreams. It is all the same to me whether I feel happy or unhappy, or whether my material existence is liberated or not. I don't care about anything else. I may be happy, I may be sad, I may be hot, I may be cold, I may be liberated, I may be sent to hell. My intelligence is completely fixed on fulfilling the responsibilities which I have been given, the highest responsibilities given by the Supreme Lord himself through the Guru, to chant, hear, remember, and worship his lotus feet. That's Buddha Yoga in the highest stage. Ekeha Kurunandana. One, O son of Kuru, one pointed determination. Everyone respects a man who has determination. No one respects someone who can't make up their mind. If you want determination, then you have to act in wisdom. You have to get wisdom. Wisdom is jnana, that I am not this body, that I am Krishna's part and parcel. And if you act in that knowledge, then you'll become vyavasayatmika buddhi. Your intelligence will become fixed. Ekeha Kurunandana. But if you don't, bahushaka, hyanantascha. Bahushaka is like a tree that has so many branches. Ananta. Anyone know? No ending. Ant is ending. No ending. Ananta. Anantascha. It's like a tree with unending branches. If one cannot bring the concept into his head that I'm a spirit soul and I shouldn't only work for sense gratification, I should work to please God. If he can't bring that concept into his head, then his intelligence never becomes fixed. It becomes so spread out like a tree with unlimited branches. Bahushaka hyanantascha buddhayo avyavasayana. Of one who is not fixed, his intelligence is like a many-branched tree. He can't do anything. I feel this way sometimes when I go to the stores to shop. You notice that? When we go to stores, it can be anything, but especially if it's an electronics store. But any store, supermarket, anything, there's so many sites and fancy colored boxes and lights and different things that you are interested in, and your eyes keep going here and here and here and here, and you forget what you even came there for, and suddenly you're in aisle 15 and you're thinking to yourself, I wish I wrote a shopping list. I can't remember why I'm here. What is it that I wanted to get? I don't know, this looks good, let's get this. That's a bahushanka yadantascha. Just thousands of distractions. If we don't become buddhi yogis, if we don't get wisdom into our heads, that we're not this body, that we're Krishna's part and parcel, then our intelligence will be like a boy in a store. We will never accomplish anything in life. If you want to accomplish something in life, you have to have firm determination to do it. But if you can't get buddhi, or knowledge that you're not this body, then you can never get firm determination. You're always distracted by new things that you may want. So this way, Krishna starts now to condemn or to point out the faults of acting without wisdom. First, Krishna said, Shrinu, hear about Buddha Yoga. Now, everyone was thinking, I'd rather look at the floor. So Krishna said, no, this is why you should hear about Buddha Yoga. Because if you act in Buddha Yoga, nothing will be destroyed that you do. And even if you do a little bit, you'll get the benefit, you'll get freedom from all fears. And Vyavasayatmika buddhi, your intelligence will become fixed. So in this way he glorified. Listen. If you act in buddhi, it's great. Now he says, and if you don't act in buddhi, ta-dum, it's terrible. And this goes on now. Now it gets very interesting. I feel like Bhagavad Gita class is also like a snowball. Except it's not cold. Nothing about Bhagavad Gita is cold. It's very warm. But it's something like a snowball because it gets speed and it goes and it goes and it goes. So now, these next group of texts, 42 through 46, start to speak about the Vedas, which is very interesting. How all of a sudden Krishna starts talking about the Vedas. This is how it works. Krishna has just said, You have to become fixed in knowledge and be one-pointed in your determination. Don't be many-branched and desire so many things. But Arjuna knows and brings up the point. What is the problem with being many-branched and wanting many things? After all, a tree with many branches catches many leaves, catches so many nice things. A stick in the wind doesn't get anything. What is the problem with being many-branched? The Vedas, they give so many goals. They give so many goals. Heavenly planets, beautiful wife, handsome, responsible husband, a beautiful car. That was done in the Vedas, but maybe they have a beautiful chariot in the Vedas. So many things the Vedas. And just be one-pointed and act for the benefit of the soul. But even the Vedas give benefits for the body. Well, so what's wrong with it? So now this next group of verses, 42 through 46, Krishna speaks about the Vedas. Yang imam pushpitang vacham pravadantya vipashtita vedavadara takapartha nanyad asti tivadinaha. Let's stop there for a second. Yam imam pushpitam vacham pravadant avipashtita. Avipashchit means those people who are foolish. Avipashchit. They're not vipra. They're foolish people. Avipashchita, they say, Yam imam pushpitam vacham vedavada rataparta nanyad astiti vadina. Nanyad asti. There is not anything else in the Vedas except pushpitam vacham. Flowery words. Now what does this mean? What is a flower for? Flowers have many uses, but think biologically. What is a flower for? Flower. Okay, but biologically, what is the purpose of a flower? Okay, now why does the flower have to be pretty and smelling? Why should the flower be beautiful and to attract the birds, the bees, the apples and the trees, to attract all these different insects to pollinate the flowers. So why are we talking about flowers? Because Krishna uses this word, pushpa, to describe the words of the Vedas. Flowers. Flowery words doesn't just mean, like in English, flowery words means meaningless words that are just used to butter up someone or glorify them. That's not how Krishna means flowery words. Flowers are used to attract for a purpose. Foolish people, avipashchit, they say anyad asti. There's nothing more than the beautiful smell and the beautiful sight of the flower. They're avipashchit. The Vedas, they give bahu shaka yanantas. They give so many different paths and so many different opportunities for getting sense gratification. And why do they give these things? It's just like when a man goes fishing. If you go fishing, you put a worm or something on a hook. And then you put the hook with the worm into the water, and then a fish comes, he's attracted by that worm, he wants to eat the worm. He bites the worm, and then he gets caught in his mouth by the hook. So, the flowers of the Vedas, why do the Vedas give all these sense gratification things? Vedas is full of sense gratification. Heavenly planets, demigods, so many things. We won't even get into some of the things that are in the Vedas. Now, why? Does a fisherman want to give away some food, or does he want to get some food? He puts a worm, or he puts some meat on a hook. Does he want to give away his food?
He wants to catch. But it appears that he's giving something. That's a bait, like a flower is a bait. Flower baits the birds and the bees to come to it. And then something else is done once they come. Now, the Vedas, they give so many flowers. Come and smell this. Oh, you want such and such sense gratification. Here's exactly how to do it. And the Vedic scripture gives all the rituals for how to actually get sense gratification. We don't know how to get sense gratification in this life. Therefore, we're so frustrated, even materially. But Vedic scripture tells how to actually get sense gratification. Why? To catch you. Just imagine all of us. If I remember at one time I was sitting in the Brooklyn Temple. How many of you have been to New York City? Brooklyn Temple? The temple room is especially designed for sleeping. It's so, in the Bhagavatam class, it's almost impossible to stay awake. The temple room is so big and so dark that it's practically, if you have insomnia, the best recommendation is to go there for the Bhagavatam class. So I remember I was sitting there in that temple room for the Bhagavatam class, listening to Sridhar Swami, not the original commentator on Srimad Bhagavatam, but our Sridhar Swami, Prabhupada's disciple, giving some Bhagavatam class, and many devotees were falling asleep. I don't remember if I was. Now, all of a sudden, Sridhar Swami said, I see that many of you are falling asleep. I said, just see. If I gave a class, and I said, imagine if I came down to Bhagavatam class, I sat down and I said, ladies and gentlemen, I have hidden in the walls of this temple $3,000. Imagine if I came, I sat down, I got a little extra money from my grandmother, and I came to the temple early today, and I hid it somewhere here. The first one who finds it can keep it. How many of you would fall asleep? Nobody would fall asleep. And then if I'm telling you, okay, here's the hints, the clues, how to find it. Oh, you'd be so perky and awake. But if I come and I say, now here's how you can attain nirvana, and here's how you can attain liberation, and here's how you can attain bhakti, then it's not so interesting. So therefore the Vedas, they don't just sit down and give a lecture about bhakti. They talk about sense gratification. Because they want to catch our attention. And once they catch your attention, they have you. You get faith in the Vedas. Oh, I actually got a new car. Or this worked. Or this Vedas. It makes my life proper. And you associate with Brahmins who do the rituals. And they tell you, you want real sense gratification. You should go to Swarga. Heavenly planets. Swarga, great, where's that? Let me get on the internet and go to the travel planner and find out how I can get airplane tickets to Swarga. And then the Brahmana says, no, you can't get airplane tickets to Swarga. Why not? You have to go in a different body. Different body, what is that? Yes, your next life. Next life, what is that? Yes, you're not this body, you transmigrate through. Oh, in this way the Vedas attract you by sense gratification. We've gone through this. This is our previous culture. Through our previous lives, we were attracted by this. And then we associated with Brahmins. And trying to get sense gratification, inadvertently we got knowledge from the Brahmins. Oh, I'm not this body, there's a next life? And then from there it takes off. But that's what the Vedas are, and that's why they recommend sense gratification in so many ways. So Krishna says, the foolish people, however, they say there's nothing beyond the words. There's nothing beyond the flowery words. There's no purpose or meaning to it. This is not just the Vedas. Think of any religion. Think of any religion. You go to a religious person and you tell them, give up your sense gratification. Devote all of your energy to serving God and God's devotees. Well, why is that? Jesus Christ never said that. Why is that such and such? Of course, that can be debated, whether or not Jesus Christ actually did say that. He did. But religion in general is not only for sannyasis. It's for people who are normal people. And it attracts us through sense gratification and then elevates us. So Krishna says, they're foolish if they think that it's only sense gratification. Kamatmana sargapara janma karma falapradam kriya vishesha bahulam bhogaishwar jagatim prati. Now Krishna said previously that those who are attracted by many different desires, they can never get fixed intelligence. Now he explains why. Kam atmana, if their mind is absorbed in lust, if they want sense gratification, Swargapara, if they want to achieve heaven, Janma, if they want a good birth, Janma, Karma Phala, if they want the good results of their karma, Kriya Vishesha, Bahulam, then they do so many different rituals. Kriya Vishesh, Bahulam. They do so many different rituals in the Vedas to get Kam, Swarga, Janma. And what is the result? Bhoga Ishvarya Gatim Prati. They get that. By doing these rituals in the Vedas, then they get bhog, pleasure, enjoyment, sense gratification, and they get Aishwarya. Aishwarya, wealth, or Aishwarya means Ishvarata, power, controllership. So by doing, just like I watched yesterday, I got a video in the mail, Hari Darshan. It's a story of Prahlad Maharaj. It's a South Indian movie. And you see Hiranyakashipu, he did so many austerities, and then Bhoga Aishwarya. He got so much enjoyment and so much power. So in this way, they do so many rituals, and then they get the results. They get powerful and strong. And then how does this lead to them not having any fixed intelligence? That's the next verse, which is a very nice verse. You can just take this verse out of context, and it also has a lot of meaning. Bhogaishwarya prasakdanam taya paritta chetasam vavasayatmika buddhi samadau na vidhiyate. In the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. So these people who are attracted by the flowers of the Vedas, then they get, as a result of following the Vedas' words, they smell the beautiful flowers, they enjoy so many fruits. Then what happens? Bhogaishwarya prasaktanam. They become attached to those things. And then taya paritta chetas. Then that attachment steals their mind. Therefore, Prabhupada said in the previous purport, one nice sentence. If you can listen carefully to this sentence, you'll feel your hair stand on end. As fools are attached to the flowers of poisonous trees, without knowing the results of such attractions, unenlightened men are similarly attracted by heavenly opulence and sense enjoyment thereof. It's such a nice, you could make a great poem or song out of that sentence. As fools are attracted to poisonous flowers, not knowing the result, similarly fools are attracted to sense gratification. What is the time? And the funny thing is, when I was preparing the class, I thought I would not cover the topic so much. I would go a little fast. So I will skim. Now we'll just finish up. So Krishna said, if you are attracted by all these different fruits, you'll get them, your mind will be taken away by them. And if your mind is attached to enjoyment and power, vyavasayatmika buddhi samadhau na vidhiyate. You can never achieve samadhi. Samadhi. Perfection of vision. To see Krishna everywhere. To be pure. You can never achieve that pure devotional service as long as you're attached to enjoyment and power. So Krishna says in this way one can never get fixed vyavasatmika buddhi if he engages his desires in other things. Therefore, fix your desire. Act for one thing. Act for the purification of your soul so that you can please the Supreme Lord. That's Buddhi Yoga. To do the work with buddhi, with wisdom that I'm not this body. I will stop there, even though it's not the end of the section. Any questions? Sure. I can go into more about how that works. It's very nice to think how it goes, because that's what the Bhagavad Gita is. How it goes from karma kanda to karma yoga to jnana yoga to dhyana yoga to bhakti yoga. Karma kanda means the person desires sense gratification. Therefore, he does different karmas or activities. So he does different rituals. He knows that if I want to enjoy life, I have to be good, because God will punish me if I'm not good. So let me be a religious person. So he goes to the church, he goes to the temple, he goes to the mosque, and he follows different rules. He does karma. Karma, he follows different rules. Now, by going to the church, by going to the temple, by going to the mosque, he is associating with Brahmins, or persons whose intelligence is on a higher level. And therefore, he also gets, by their association, higher knowledge. So even though he's only attracted there for sense gratification, just like here. Why did I come to this temple the first time? Any guesses? Sunday feast. I was a vegetarian, and I was sick of eating pizza and potato chips and French fries. I wanted to try some good food. So I heard there was a temple here with some prasad, and I came. But as a result of coming to eat, association with Brahman, and then higher intelligence was there. So when one associates with the Brahmins for sense gratification, they begin to explain that real sense gratification is attained on higher planets. Then that brings in the whole topic that you're not this body, there's transmigration, there's different light. Then a person begins to think, now wait a minute. If I'm not this body, then what's the use of going to the heavenly planets? When I get there, can I stay there? No. So it's the same thing as just staying here on earth, because I have to come back here. So what else is there? Then the Brahmins explain it. No, you have to go beyond this material universe to the Paramgati, to the spiritual sky. Then you can be eternally happy there. Well, how do I do that? Well, you have to cultivate knowledge that you're not this body, and you have to meditate on the super soul, and you have to love the Supreme Lord and serve Him with love. And that way it goes up. Did that answer you? If it didn't, that's up. You can answer. You can say so if it didn't. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. Right. Sort of like that. It's a good enough interpretation. And Krishna explains it in the next verse. He says, just like if you have a big, gigantic river or ocean, you don't need to go to a well. The person who knows the purpose behind the Vedas doesn't have to, I'll just leave it at that. It's correct. That a person, Krishna is describing people who say that the Vedas, their bait that they give of sense gratification, is the whole purpose of the Vedas. There's no higher purpose. It's not to lead you to a higher thing. It's just to get sense gratification. They're called Veda Vadarata. They just believe in the words of the Vedas, not the purpose of it. Okay. Very good question. The question is, in text 40, Krishna says, if you do devotional service, your advancement will never be lost. Well, then such and such Prabhu used to be a devotee. But now he's not a devotee anymore, and he's doing so many nonsense things. It seems that his advancement was lost. That's her question. How does that work? Have you ever seen any graphs of like a business company? They prepare their financial statements. They show these graphs of their income and expense. Or sometimes people go in the stock market, and they always look at graphs, how the stocks are doing. They're going. So those graphs, they go like this. Say Coca-Cola goes like this, right? But generally, it's going up. So in the same way, in devotional service, there's ups and downs when we look at it from a short-term perspective. The devotee may come up, and then he may lose some momentum and come back down. But he never But he doesn't come down. He comes back up. And his whole trend is upward. Although there may be down periods. Like you may look at the stock market. Now, today, your stock may be going down. And you may think, oh my God, I'm going to be broke. But if you look in the long term and you see that actually it's such and such more dollars than it was when I bought it. So in the same way, when a devotee performs devotional service, he makes advancement. And then, let's say he makes a mistake. It appears that he goes down. But that advancement is just concealed. Then that advancement, when he starts again later, that advancement comes up again. And he comes up even higher than he was before. So his trend is never, it never goes down for real. His Holiness Hridayananda Maharaj, he once said a very nice thing. He said, let's say a person jumps off a building. I never get to get a nice darshan of the deities because they come in, give the class. So, Hridayananda Maharaj, he said, let's say a person jumps off a building. Did you hear this? The person jumps off a building. Okay, imagine here. What does he do first? He goes up first. But he actually goes down. So the same way, at some point it may look like a devotee is going down. If you just look at it in a split instant, or in a split instant in cosmic time means maybe one lifetime. It may look like, oh my God, this devotee is going down. But just like when a person jumps off a building, even though they may jump up 10 feet, they're definitely going to go down. Same way, if the devotee does devotional service, it may appear that he falls, and he will always go up. Just like now, I used to play the guitar so much. So I could sit down and play a guitar. Then I say, maybe I don't play for 4 years. What's happening? He went down, he doesn't play, he can't even play the same things that he played before. But in 3 weeks, I can play the same thing again. That's how it is for a devotee. He forgets everything. He becomes covered in ignorance. But he will surely become uncovered by Krishna's grace, and very quickly go higher than he was before. So in that way, the graph is not going down, it's going up. You can see it even within this lifetime. I know many devotees, when I went to Vrindavan, I met there. They were devotees for like 10 years, 11 years. Then they became involved in so many things, and gradually they became like very, very covered. Then all of a sudden they just were able to chant like one Gayatri a day. Or they were just able to let's say maybe water their tulsi plant once a day. They didn't do anything else. They broke every rule. They did everything wrong. But then at the end, they're 75 years old. Then all of a sudden, they're in Vrindavan, and they're chanting like 64 rounds, and they're like fired up. Like, well, I made such a mistake. Now I'm getting my act back together because the end is near. You see, devotees nothing is lost. It may become covered, but it's never lost. Any other questions? Okay. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. And? Said you couldn't do it? Oh. Close? It gave you a sign that's close. It gave you a sign like it told you something like this. Your access is forbidden. Can't make it a connection with the server. Probably just try again at a different time. Maybe the time.